Snapped podcast. My name is Tyler Kluver, and I'm a former Division I athlete turned entrepreneur. I run my own fitness and nutrition coaching business, as well as a sports media brand that produces podcasts, sells merchandise, and creates exclusive paid content. The fun part is I don't really know what I'm doing as a business owner. I'm just figuring it out day by day. This show, Snapped, acts as an audio journal for my thoughts and ideas on fitness, health, business, mindset, and whatever else I find important on the pursuit to personal happiness and a balanced life. I hope you can take something from the show that makes your life a little bit better. And regardless, I'm just happy you're here. Let's have a day. Let's go. All right, Snap Podcast, welcome in. No personal stuff today. Only want to do a quick little plug for myself because it's my podcast and that's how things go before we jump into the series that we're going to begin this year with. How do we live our best life with sleep in 2024, with nutrition in 2024, exercise? I'm thinking maybe supplements is going to have to be its own quick podcast in this series. And then if there's more than 4, which there may be right now, I'm just thinking those 4 topics, those 4 areas, we will do them. The goal with this is to draw people in. I plan to maybe for the first time ever post, I posted a couple weeks back, but actually promote this little series that I do on my social media. If you're listening to this, there's a decent, better than average chance that you are listening to the Snapped podcast for the first time. So welcome in. This podcast episode specifically, hopefully, will sound a little bit more polished than the normal week to week episode that you're going to get here at this solo venture. This is not the Washed Up Walk-Ons. If you're a normal listener of that, this is something entirely different. It is literally just a weekly outlet for me to express my thoughts within the fitness and nutrition world, and it is that. With that, I'm glad you're here. It obviously means you're interested in the topic at hand. And by reading the title, you know that the first episode in this series is going to be about nutrition. Nutrition, generally, not fun, not sexy, not something that when you're doing it correctly and in pursuit of your goals is going to be easy or without bumps in the road or temptation. And I wanted to start us here mostly because the average person out there, and that's what this series is built for. How do we give the most broad and general advice that could help the most amount of people, the average person that would be listening to this in 2024? How do we give them the best advice when it comes to diet? Diet being first one, because most people are probably going to be interested in the exercise episode of the series. I'm going to make that last, right? I'm going to lead. I'm going to put the carrot out there on a stick a little bit. Hey, listen to the other episodes as well. Exercise is important. Most of you want to lose weight and look better, right? I want to look better. I'm happy with where my weight's at, but we all basically want to look better when it comes to fitness and health. Obviously, feeling better is a large part of that as well. There is nothing that you can pull on more as a lever in your life than the nutritional aspect, your diet, your food, the stuff that you put in your mouth when it comes to that pursuit of looking and feeling better. I don't need to back that up by any science. It is universally known within the health space that nutrition is going to get you 80% of the way there. So we're going to start with the nutrition episode. And excuse me, I've been going through a little bit of a cough, so we'll try to avoid that as well. The sleep episode that we do for this is going to be great. The exercise episode that we do for this is going to be great. The supplements will be a nice little bonus as well. I'm telling you right now, if you take anything away from this, it's the food. It's the food that we put in our bodies, and hopefully we can get that across in the next 15 minutes. I tell my clients all the time, shout out to TKG Training, by the way, the TKG Training You can sign up for those daily workouts, or you could work with me on a one-on-one basis. Those are the clients I'm referencing. That our philosophy as humans should be eat to live, not live to eat. And I don't remember where I heard that. It's obviously a catchy little cliche phrase, but it's so, so true. And as I'll get to here in a little bit, the way that our society has evolved completely strays away from this principle. And I get it. It's just the way, we've advanced that far as humans where we aren't starving anymore. We aren't gatherers. But that has its consequences, and we have to be able to deal with that and actively deal with that, preferably instead of retroactively. Nutrition, as I said, is going to make up. Again, let's stick with the general theme of, hey, most people want to lose weight. It is going to be 80% of you losing weight. And the reason is, and many of you have probably recognized this or found this out at some point in your fitness journey, however brief or expanded it's been. Calorie manipulation is how we lose or add weight to our body. We are able to consume vast more amounts of calories than we're able to burn off when it comes to the same time frame. Okay? So you think about it, an hour workout. There's some uh, there's some debate here, but just for fun's sake, let's say you can burn uh, uh, 10 calories a minute. That would be extreme. That probably has happened for some people before. High intensity workouts, people who are more fit generally can maybe get there. Most people know, but just for a number's sake, let's say you could burn 10 calories a minute. And that works out to in an hour long workout. If you go for an hour long run or you do an hour class at the YMCA or something, and you burn 600 calories, you just put in a ton of work. So much work to burn off those 600 calories. And then you go home and you make dinner that you're winding down for the day, and you go to have a little treat. You go to have a bowl ice cream, pint of ice cream. Go take a look at your average pint of ice cream, your average pint of Ben and Jerry's. Many of those pints will feature in that singular pint double the amount of calories that you burned in that 1 hour. So if you eat half of that pint and get 600 calories of food, how long is that going to take you? 15 minutes? I know it. I'll tell you this. It takes me about 6 minutes to do it because I'm an ice cream fiend. Okay. So the way we can manipulate calories with our mouth and our stomach is a whole lot more. There's more room to pull from there than with the ability to burn them off through exercise. Especially because exercise, whole other thing here, but the direct dedicated workout that you do each day or exercise that you do is max 20% of the calories that your body's actually going to burn in a day. You're just handicapped. Okay. A good example of this would be a personal anecdote from 2018. Take you back. Okay. My football career ends. I was trying to go to the NFL. I had to get really big for that, right? I put on 30 pounds of pretty shitty weight back in the spring of 2018 from January to March. I went from 215 pounds to 243 pounds that March, April. The NFL didn't want me. My football career ends. I don't want to be 243 pounds. And I happen to know all the things that I'm telling you. I have a background in exercise science. I have multiple nutrition certifications. And it's basically the only content I consume on a daily basis ever for the past 10 years. So I know that, caveat, at the time I had a slight tear in my knee that I did not know about. I knew my knee hurt, and I knew that I was going to rest that entire summer and not do any working out. Now, if you know me today, you should be able to imagine how hard that was for me. But literally for May, June, July, August, September, October, and half of November, I did not exercise. 6, 7 months, whatever that is. In that time, my body weight went from 243 pounds to 202 pounds. I lost 41 pounds exclusively through diet manipulation. No training. No training. Now, some of that was muscle, of course, uh, which is fine. Most of it was body fat. And I was a little bit of an inflated case where I had been eating everything I could just to pack that weight on. So some of it just would have come off naturally. But it's an example of how you don't need exercise at all to lose weight. You can exclusively do it through diet manipulation, which is why this is so important. The biggest factor with weight loss is going to be calorie restriction. Okay. You are trying to put yourself in a place where you are eating less calories than you burn. All right. Pretty simple. Pretty simple. Think of yourself as a car with fuel in it. Okay. The food is the fuel, the gas. If that car drives around all day, your body, and you start with a full tank, and this analogy gets a little bit blurry, but you start with a full tank, you drive around all day and you used half the tank, and now refuel your car with more than a half tank of gas. Go to the other side of the analogy. You've filled yourself back up with more than you burned. That fuel has to go somewhere. In a gas tank, it would overflow and just come out of the side of your car. In our bodies, we shovel it into fat storage, and that is how we gain weight. Or if you're providing the right stimulus to your body through weight training, through exercise, it turns into muscle mass. Okay. So sometimes we can actually use it for good. On the other hand, the other side of that, let's say you go, you run the tank half full by the end of the day, and you only fill up with a quarter tank the next morning. Now you're working with a 3/4 tank going into day 2. You do the same thing. Day 3, you have half a tank. That tank now represents, in this analogy, your fat storage. You are burning fat. Your body's going to have to, at some point, pull from your current fat storages for energy, for more fuel to keep that tank full. That is how we lose weight. Okay, pretty simple. Um, the how much your body is burning, again, that whole manipulating it with exercise thing, there's multiple factors to that equation of how you're burning calories. It's a little bit more complicated. We'll talk a little bit about it at the end, but that is why nutrition is so important, because we know exactly how much calories we put into our body. It's pretty easy to track, right? All diets, every single one, work because they are on a mechanism of restriction. Okay, doesn't matter. Give me a diet, I'll explain to you why it works, because of the ultimate end result. It's restricting calories for you. Couple examples. Carnivore, popular in the last couple years. Carnivore works because you're only eating meat. Try and go eat 1,000 calories of most meats, right? You might be able to get it done with a big fatty ribeye steak, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to eat that much meat. And if you're choosing leaner meats, something like chicken or pork or fish, please go attempt to eat. Just try it one day. I mean, it's not going to kill you. Try to eat only chicken breast on a single day. See how many calories you can rack up. I'm willing to bet you couldn't get to 1,500 and you would be full. Full. Similar sort of thing with fruits or vegetables. Please try and eat 1,500 or 2,000 calories of fruits and vegetables in a day and tell me how full you are. And you'd lose weight because you'd be under the amount of calories that you were burning. That's how diets work. It could be carnivore, it could be paleo. Paleo is a diet where you're eating, I'm not well versed in it, but it's essentially wiping out all processed foods So anything that grows, you can eat it. Great. Processed foods are built, engineered to make you hungrier, to not fill you up, to make you crave more times throughout the day. It is eliminating the excess eating, paleo, that is, because it's taking away processed foods. It's restricting your hunger, thereby restricting the total calories that you eat. Same thing with intermittent fasting, which doesn't really play with the actual foods, it plays with the timing. It restricts your total calories because it cuts out a complete meal or more for most people. It's just harder naturally to eat the same amount of calories in 2 meals as it is in 3 or 4. If you restrict yourself to an 8-hour window, your body is not going to retain the same amount of hunger collectively that you would for your normal eating window, 12, 14 hours in that 8-hour span. So you're just normally going to eat less. We're restricting calories. That's why diets work. They're all tribal ways of just structuring that restriction principle to different people. And for some reason, some diets click with some people, some click with another. That's why you get people who argue this is the best, this is the best. It's just whatever makes sense in each person's mind, and that's different for everybody. The overall concept, the overall mechanism stays the same. You might even find success with some of those diets. My advice, don't just adhere to one of those diets unless you really truly believe you can sustain that for a lifelong thing. You shouldn't be testing diets or trying out ways of eating unless you feel that they're really lifelong sustainable. Because the minute you get off that diet, the minute you stop restricting in the way that you're restricting, you're going to go back to where you were before and your body will follow. The better route is to figure out a way to allow every food or drink or calorie into your diet. Pizza, ice cream, cookies, fast food, alcohol, but in moderation. Learn how to drink and eat those things at the right time in the right amounts. So, here we are, 17 minutes into the podcast. What is the easiest way to do this in 2024? Where have we landed here? I'm going to try and give you my structure. This is what I work with my clients with on a daily, weekly basis. We hammer these same things over and over and over again. Of course, having the one-on-one accountability helps someone to answer to. But the very first rule that I have is you need to lead with protein. Okay. And I'm not going to go down a macronutrient lesson here, although I could for an hour. We could talk about the proteins, the carbs, the fats, the alcohol, how many calories each of those have, how they affect the body, yada, yada, how they're turned into energy or not, how they're processed in the kidneys, yada, yada, yada. Know this: protein is going to be the one macronutrient that your body is not trying to use for fuel. It is for repair and recovery. We know, everybody knows that protein is used to repair the muscles, but it's not just the muscles. It's the hair, the skin, the nails, the connective tissue in our body and our joints. Protein is 99.9% of the time going to be used for good, or it will be excreted in your urine. Simple as that. So we want to lead with protein because not only is it good for all those things, not only with the correct exercise protocol is it being used to turn into muscle, which is metabolically healthy, the tissue that we want on our body, the most positive tissue that we can have, but it also, as I mentioned before, is a satiating macronutrient. Please try and eat 2,000 calories of fish in a single day. It's impossible. Or chicken breast or any of these things. So it fills us up. It does great for our bodies. And by proxy, it takes up more of the percentage of the pie chart between fats, proteins, and carbs the more you eat. Therefore, leaving less room that you're hungry for, that you're craving to fill with sugars and fats, carbs and fats. It's pretty that is the reasoning why behind protein is so important. And the recommendation, though it is very hard to get, it is doable. I do it every single day. I can show you I've tracked the last year of my protein. And I've been tracking 80% of my days since 2015. I average currently, I think it's 213 grams of protein a day. I'm 197 pounds is my body weight. You should be aiming for 1 gram of protein per pound of your goal body weight every single day. So if you're 300 plus pounds and you're a dude, you're a big dude, and you're like, I can't get 300 plus grams of protein, which that would be very difficult, but you're trying to get to like 220 or maybe 200 someday as a long-term body weight goal, then you should be aiming for 200. Men generally, my advice, unless you're a very small man, you're somewhere down in the 135 range, 140, 150. I think every man should be getting 150 grams plus per day. This becomes even more important as you age, by the way. Won't get super deep into that either. And for a woman, I think 100 grams is that bare minimum. It's hard to do, again, because it's satiating. There's not a ton of sources, and it's just not as fun. You're going to be eating the same stuff over and over again. And that's okay because meals should be boring 90% of the time. It's the old adage, same shit, different day. You have to realize that we're living in an anciently designed body within modern times. What does that mean? The reality is that we are not built biologically to have such wildly available access relative to both speed and quantity when it comes to the calories and uh, the food in today's society. We used to live in the jungles, in the deserts, in the forests, in the plains, where there were no Starbucks or McDonald's or Chick-fil-A's or Walmarts or Targets or you name it, Whole Foods on the corner, every corner. There were no drive-throughs. The food that we ate, we had to work for. And it wasn't processed. There was no sugars or fats or other chemicals, preservatives added to it to make us hungrier. It's why heart disease and obesity is only a epidemic of the last, let's call it 100 years. Oddly, that lines up with the industrialization process of our food and the fast food industry. It is the modern day problem that we have to deal with actively. You're not just going to get around it. You are a part of the matrix, and if you don't actively work against it, you are fucked. Not to make this a rated R podcast, but that is just the way it is. The industry has outpaced our body, but more importantly, our brain. Because you can beat it with your brain if you're smart enough, and plenty of people are. There's plenty of people walking around that are not overweight or obese. They're super healthy. Blood markers are great. They've got a six-pack abs. Fortunately, I'm one of them. And it feels awesome. You have to be able to realize that food is not for entertainment or pleasure 90, 95% of the time. Schedule a cheat meal. I do it every week. For those that know me, it's Culver Sunday. Sunday Culver's. We head over to the Culver's. I get myself a triple butter burger with cheese, hot fudge sundae, some cheese curds. And even then, I structure the rest of my day so that my total caloric intake for that day is still less than I burned. And you can do that. You can cheat here and then, have snacks here and there when you've mastered the caloric balance, right? Water wise, we should be getting zero 0.5 ounces of water per body pound of body weight each day. Example, again, I'm 197. Let's call me 200 pounds. I aim to get 100 ounces of water, half of your body weight in water ounces per day. Again, that gets really hard for big guys or big people in general. If you're up in the 250, 300 range, Yeah, your water's now approaching, that 125 to 150 ounces a day. Reality is we need it. Our bodies need it to hydration is so important in so many of the processes of our body. Um, Not to mention eating and sleep, energy, and so many other things. Um, and overall, let's just be smart and eat foods that make you feel good. Okay. The other foods that we should be eating other than the protein, let's talk about it quick. It's very simple. Again, a lot of the same stuff day after day after day. Potatoes, but not French fries. Okay. Not not like a baked potato with a pound of butter and sour cream. No, I'm talking just like bake your potato or air fry it. Try and prepare it in the most healthy way. Rice, brown rice or white rice, don't get caught up in which one's better. It doesn't really matter. They're both good. Pasta occasionally, not in large amounts, and be careful with the sauces. Fruit and vegetables, eat as many as you want. They are a carb, but because it takes a little bit more to eat fruits and vegetables than it does a Twinkie or a Laffy Taffy, there's a little bit of a difference of how our bodies interact with that and the work we have to do to get those calories. So, easy potatoes, rices, some pastas, little bit of starch. Okay. Fruits and vegetables. Eat nuts and seeds. Those are good for you. That's about it. Protein sources, fish, chicken, beef, all the meats, right? Turkey, bison, elk, steak, tuna, whatever you want it to be, right? All the meats, all the animals. Of course, there's some people out there that'll disagree with that. Outside of that, it's pretty limited. Dairy products, cheeses, yogurt, Greek yogurt specifically, milk, cottage cheese, eggs. Probably some stuff I'm forgetting. Advice would be that you need to probably add, if you're really going to buckle down on this, you probably need to add a protein shake to your day. Whether that's a ready to drink shake, my favorite brand is Lean Body. Muscle milks are good too. Those are more expensive. Or get yourself a big bag or tub of protein powder and have one of those shakes a day. It's an extra 25, 30, sometimes 40 grams of protein that you can get in those things. That's going to help you towards your goal. I personally do one every afternoon. In fact, I'll do one right after this podcast. Lead with protein, not only in building your meals, again, because of that satiety factor, but when you're eating your meals, try and eat the protein first. This is just a little very specific hack. The regulation of blood sugar, very important. Keeping blood sugar spikes down. Eating protein in your meal first, followed by the carbs on your plate, will help manage those spikes. Just a quick tip. And we'll finish with this. And this goes way over the head. So, up until this point in the podcast, everything I've said, that is your blueprint for 2024. It's very simple. The food lists are short. DM me if you want a little literal list of foods that I give my clients when they ask for it. This part right here that I'm about to explain is where it gets a little bit muddy. There's a little bit of math involved, a little bit more nuance and detail. Um, and this is what really people sign up for when it comes to nutrition counseling. I'm going to explain the process. I'm not going to go super deep. Many of you will not understand this. If you have to, listen twice, 3 times, 4 times before this makes sense. Write it all down. Write the process down. This is how you find how many calories you're burning. We talked about just now how many calories you should be eating, right? Less than you're burning. To find how many calories you're eating, that's fairly simple. You go to a MyFitnessPal, which is part of this process here, and you just type in the exact foods. They have every restaurant, every brand of food, everything out there. It's all in their system. You weigh it out, measure it. Takes a little bit of extra time. I know, tough. Again, the nuance of the modern world, right? But here is how you do a running self study on how to lose weight or gain weight and how you can track your metabolism against your body weight and against how much you're bringing in calorie wise. Okay. Quick, as quick as I can be, as just succinct as I can be here. You're going to track your food. You're going to start step one by tracking your food meticulously, as close as you can. There's always going to be mistakes, measuring errors, all this stuff. Sometimes you're going to have to guess, but as meticulously as you can for 4 weeks, 28 days, track your food in the MyFitnessPal app. After 4 weeks, you can go back through it saves and logs your whole calendar every day that you ever track. You're going to go back through those 28 days at the bottom of the screen. Actually, it might be at the top of the screen. It's going to give you how many calories you had each day. Excuse me. You're going to add up and average all of those 28 days. Okay? So let's say you know, for example's sake, after 28 days, you figure out that you average 2,700 calories a day. Awesome. You're going to take that number. And that is data point 1. Throughout those 4 weeks, at the very beginning, day 1, you're going to take a body weight. In the morning, after you go to the bathroom, with a standard amount of clothes on, right? So whether that's in your underwear or naked or whatever you want to do, but standardize that every time you do your body weight. And you're going to track your body weight in these same 4 weeks that you're tracking your food. So, for example, say I wake up and I'm 197 on day 1. Okay. I eat 2,700 calories a day. Figure that out through the app over the course of 4 weeks. And in 4 weeks, on that next Monday, start of week 5, I take my body weight and I'm 200 pounds. I've gained 3 pounds. Okay. Maybe you lost 3 pounds too. This can go either way. You're going to take the number that you gained or lost. In my case, it's 3. And you're going to times that by 3,500. 3,500 is the number of calories in 1 pound. All right. So 3 pound gain for me, or it could be a 3 pound loss. Either way, you're going to times it by 3,500. In my case, that would be 10,500 calories. And you're going to divide that total calorie number by the number of days that we just tracked. That's representing the amount of caloric energy that we've added to our body in a specific time frame, in this case, 28 days. Divide by 28, and that will give you the daily number of, in my case, for the example, surplus calories that I was eating, or it could be the daily number of deficit calories that you were eating. So I'll do the math quick on my phone. 10,500 divided by 28. In this example, I would have been eating in a 375 calorie surplus each day. Okay. This is our working number. We go back to our daily average. I was eating 2,700 calories. I just did the math and I know that I was eating in a 375 calorie surplus, meaning that my maintenance, what would have kept me at the exact same weight for those 4 weeks, is 2,700 minus 375. That was 375 over what I should have been eating to maintain my weight. In the other example, it could be that I was eating 375 calories less than I needed to maintain my weight. And now you have to decide and kind of look back at your main goal for what you're trying to do. Are you trying to lose weight? In most cases, yes. So we need to get to a deficit number. If you found yourself with a surplus number, then the amount that you're going to have to change your daily intake by, that 2,700 number in this example, is more. If you're already in a deficit after that calculation and you lost a pound or 2 over those 28 days, great. Keep eating what you want to eat, or increase that deficit by eating a few less calories per day on average, and you should continue to see the scale go down. But this has given you your BMR, your basal metabolic rate, how much your body is burning each day. In my case, 2,700 minus the 375 calorie surplus would put me at a 2,325 calorie BMR. That's low. uh, relative to real numbers. But in this case, that's what it is. Your body is burning at this point in time during this 4 week period a basal metabolic rate of 2,325 calories. That is flexible. That is a fluid number. You can affect that number by eating more and by working out more, by eating less and working out less, by adding muscle to your body, all these different things. And you have to just, the way I do it, and this is just the way I do it, is you go every 4 weeks and you can continue to track. And hey, maybe you continue to eat this way, right? Maybe you stay at 2,700. In theory, if your basal metabolic rate stays the same, you would gain another 3 pounds in 4 weeks. But what if in 4 weeks you don't gain 3 pounds? What if you're still 200 pounds? Well, now you know, after gaining no weight in that second 4 week period, that your body has actually increased its burn rate to match your intake. That is how metabolism works. It can increase, it can decrease. In which case, if you were someone who was continually wanting to gain weight, you would have to increase the calories. You'd have to go up to 28, 29, maybe 3,000 calories. In my personal case, doing this for the last 6 months, before I got injured, I was all the way up to 4,200 calories necessary to continue to add muscle to my body. That's how high my metabolism was, somewhere around 3,800 calories of BMR. Other people are on the other side of that. They're crashed. They don't eat a lot of food. They don't move a lot. And their metabolism has driven them way down into the 1,500 range, sometimes worse. And that's what we work on and kind of try to fix with a lot of the one-on-one clients. But that is how you track your BMR. That's how you find out the other number that's relevant when you're trying to figure out, am I eating in a surplus or a deficit? Hopefully this all made sense. Hopefully you guys got something out of this. Probably one of the more detailed, prepared for podcasts I've ever done. And the next 3 podcasts will be similar to this. A lot of information. If you have any questions, just ask me. If you're interested in one-on-one training, ask me. If you want to sign up for daily workouts for less than $1 a day, that will get you in great shape. Really just world-class fitness for just having a dumbbell and yourself and 30 minutes at home. TKG training, you can find that at tylercluver.com. Thank you for joining me for the Live Your Best Life Nutrition Edition 2024. We'll be back next week with supplements and then sleep and finally with exercise. Very excited to continue this series. Thank you for joining. We'll talk to you next week. Until then, peace.